Hey, welcome to episode number 195. This is actually 195, unlike last week when I said 195 and it was 194 of the Canadian Prepper podcast. We are recording February the 19th, 2023. My name is Eric. I am the host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I am based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, who's constantly trying to better himself.
My name is Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, based t-shirt guru, government critique, and a wannabe amateur prepper. We want to help support the show. All right, let's try that again. Want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper podcast on the air? Buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper podcast t-shirt and tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fuel.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. Also, we want your feedback, good or bad, or just a topic you want us to cover. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some myth-filled content for you in this episode. We're going to start off with some recent news articles. We'll update you on our personal preparedness since our last episode. Then we're going to get into the main topic of avoiding burnout and media myths. So we'll move into the news. So we've got an article here that I stumbled across, and it's usually try to include these in the news section when I see them come up. It's just in regards to a little preparedness thing going on. The title is a 30-day food supply needed in case of disaster. It says a Princeton area survivalist. So there was about 30 people gathered at a local cafe. So this is a US-based article. About 30 people gathered in a local cafe just to learn about emergency preparedness. It's always good to see that kind of thing, and then especially for it to get picked up in the media. It's nice to see kind of things spread out and awareness kind of be put out there for people to realize that this is more of a mainstream thing than it used to be. So I like to get these in the news section whenever I can.
That's what I was about to say. Is it's nice that they're kind of talking about they gather instead of the whole doomsday thing, and you know. I don't know what kind of.
Happy it was in a cafe and not in a missile silo.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of cool if it was a missile silo. Let's be honest.
You say to people, "I'm a prepper," or I know, and you ask them what's their first impression of a prepper, and they're like, "You're wearing camo, you got the bands of ammo across you, you got the paint under your eyes, you're carrying an AK," and it's like, no, what?
Or you're hanging out in someone's basement with tinfoil on your head.
Yep.
Oh,
we're not supposed to do that. Damn it.
Apparently not.
Well, depends which room you're in.
It depends. Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, though, so the 30-day, do you have to adjust for Canadian dollars and keep like 45-day food supply in Canada for the US?
Probably couldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
I don't know. Greg's not here. He's decided to ignore us for a while, so we would need his commentary in order to be able to have a 100% answer to that question. But
he wouldn't have 10 days worth of food. He spent it all on his guns.
It's true.
That is but depending what you get, you can get a lot of food with those guns.
Oh yeah.
Depending on the scenario, that's beside the point.
And did it give a reason why he was doing this, or it was just some reporter happened upon it and did a story?
It sounds like a reporter just happened upon it and did a story. It was an organized event, so it's not like it was just a random reporter came in for a coffee and stumbled across it. Like they knew it was going to be happening, so they came in to just report on it and see what was going on. So,
well, good for him.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that positive media.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the closet prepper and was like trying to feel it out, see if he can come out of the closet for it.
Not anymore. He's not. Now he's out.
Yep.
Enjoy.
But no, so like I said, it was good to see, and like Jeff was touching on there, it's nice to see it hit like the positive light versus the "you are all crazy, what the heck are you thinking?" So
Yeah.
it was good. But I don't see any other news entries here in the section in the show notes, so there's no objections. We'll move on to what we've done lately for preps.
I haven't watched the news seriously in about 7 years.
Nice.
Like Pierre said in the chat during the week, like you guys here and on the other chat and the Discord group and whatnot, that's my news source. I know I can trust it and verify it, and that's yeah. If it's not next door, I don't care, so to speak. Anyways,
fair enough.
For me, I didn't do a whole lot this week. Cleaned up some in the house over the last 2 days. We have Family Day in Ontario for all of us, and taking advantage of it. The wife is off as well. The kids are home. We've all been putting some elbow grease down and getting some things done. Got good plans for tomorrow as well, and hopefully to keep it going next weekend. Work, and more work. I was supposed to be taking a bit of a trip to Toronto next week, but apparently that may be kibosh, so that was kind of sucky. I was kind of looking forward to that a little bit. And then just sitting here waiting for spring to come.
Can't be soon enough. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, some of us like winter and some of us don't.
This is true. I was going to make a snowmobile joke, but I opted to not.
Probably a good idea.
Figured.
I didn't do very much either. I did actually less than Brad did. I just topped up my fuel stores for the week with a possible impending storm coming, and that's about it.
For myself, work, a little bit of more work. Oh, some work just in case I didn't have enough previous work. Did grab those Princess Auto 30 cal ammo cans, a little storage tray, and those showed up the other day. So had a peek at those and just kind of getting some ideas as to what I'm going to do with them, what I'm going to put in them, and what I want to kind of store in the vehicle and get them all organized. But they're a nice set. I'm quite pleased with them. So grabbed 2 of them, and one for the personal car, one for work, and we'll see what I make with them.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, I have one. I picked it up a while ago because it was roughly the same price. Picked one up, brought it home, and I'm like, well, what are we doing with it? I was like, you know what, like I work on the road. It can be like last minute, 10 o'clock, I get called out of town, this, that, work crazy late. So I just filled mine up with like a bunch of like non-perishable snack food.
Yep.
And it just sits in the back of my work truck. And then in the summer, I'll throw like a Gatorade or 2. Right, I'll bring lots of water, but I'm like, you just want that change without having to stop at a gas station. And yeah, they work awesome. So I actually purchased another 4 and brought them home last week as well. Yeah, the only thing I'm not a big fan of is if I use them for ammo, even though technically they don't need to, I like having a lock on all of my ammo.
Yep.
The locks I have don't fit nice in those. Like the way the lock is compared to the other ones. Like the other ones are in the corner, like on the corner, you can put like an 8-inch lock. These are very like kind of particular. So I'm like, that's the only downfall, but I'm like, the price is right. They're awesome. Like we're thinking of just making one as like our range set, you know, your safety glasses.
Okay. Yep.
It's like all that stuff. Just grab that one every time you go anything to do with anything firearms related or whatever, and then whatever else you need. So yeah, they're awesome. So what I've done is, other than buy those 4 and figure out where to put them, this weekend the wife and the daughter went to their little getaway that they normally do around Valentine's Day. So they were gone for 2 days. So I came home and some organizing and cleaning in the room to figure out where I'm going to put these things. Then we decided that we were going to revamp the office / podcast room and make a little bit more room and tidy up and organize some stuff. And we found some bins on sale. So got a few things like that. Got approved for the gun club, after my qualification course, which was kind of just like, here, shoot 5 rounds in like a revolver and then 5 rounds in a semi-auto without like putting your finger on the trigger until you're supposed to. So it was fun.
Yep.
hopefully make it there tomorrow to start sighting in some new guns or whatever. But and a crap load of work and a whole bunch of stupidity. But no, that's about it. All work related, the stupidity part. But.
Of course. Yeah. It's usually where stupidity comes from.
Mm.
All right. Well, with that, let's move into our main topic. So tonight, figured we would talk about burnout in doing preparedness related things or being a prepper, and as well, just because why not mix it in with trying to avoid some media myths or just kind of sorting through the bulk of information that is thrown at us quite a bit, except for Brad, who just doesn't bother watching the news at all, which is probably the number one way to avoid media myths altogether. Just don't watch it.
Well, it's
I don't.
how do you figure out which is true and which is not when everybody is a talking head? They've all got their networks down their asses to, you got to push this narrative, you got to push that narrative, we got to follow this story, we can't follow that story, that's too liberal, that's too conservative. Just do
This
your
one
job.
offends people. Yeah.
You got in the business to report the news, so report the news.
Yes,
I don't want to know your opinion because that's an editorial.
Yeah.
But it also depends which entity your cash flow comes from can determine what news you should report, what news you should avoid reporting on.
But that's my point. Is
yeah,
it doesn't matter where the money comes from. Report.
Do I have a podcast for you?
Absolutely.
and I mean, I agree 100% with Brad on that. And all you got to do, for all honesty purposes, is just look at, I was going to say the information or the lack thereof over this environmental disaster of the Ohio train derailment. There has been very little media talking about,
if anything,
what I think is a pretty significant environmental disaster. I don't know if anybody's seen some of the pictures floating around, but a friend of mine sent me one, and it was and I don't have any reason to refute the authenticity of it, of somebody in an airplane taking a picture, and the smoke plume is actually coming through the clouds at like 20,000 feet, and it's a mile around. And don't tell me that that's not going to affect something somewhere.
The only way I know what picture you're talking about is somebody put it on the Signal chat or on the Discord, one of the two of them, and I saw that. And the only way I knew that the Ohio train crash had happened was, like, I drive a truck. I drive a flatbed all over Ottawa, all over the place. We work for plenty of different companies. If you're paying, we're hauling. One of the places we go to, I've known one of the guys that's worked there for years. He's from Ohio. I went in there last week and picked up a load from him. He usually loads me all the time. I went in, I could tell he was off, like his mind was elsewhere, and he's operating a forklift with 4,000-pound pallets or 12 feet long. Like, buddy, no. What's going on? I can tell you're off because you're not as precise as you normally are. Nothing affects you. He's recently gone through a divorce. That didn't affect his job. This did. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you off? Like, put this pallet away. Take it off my truck. I don't want you doing anything until we talk for a few minutes. What's going on? He pulled up pictures that his parents and relatives are sending him. He's got relatives that are in those affected towns, and he's wanting to go home. That's the only way I knew about it. Didn't hear a damn thing otherwise.
Jeez. That brings me to one of my points on being able to really verify a media story that's out there, because like we've mentioned, they're going to spin them. It all depends on kind of who's lining their pockets and what narrative it is that they're going to push out there. But being able to confirm with people that you know and trust about that media. So there has been a little bit of media about that accident. There has been a lot, like Jeff was saying, but there has been some. So having that contact and being able to verify personally that with somebody who is personally affected by it, that, like, A, yeah, this is happening, and B, it's bad. Like, it's a serious thing that's going on. That's the best source you're ever going to have to validate any kind of media article.
Yeah.
So
So when he started telling me that, he pulled up pictures. I went online. I started finding all this info, what little there was. And on Thursday, I think it was, I saw him out of work, and I was out of work. I just happened to cross paths with him at the gas station and asked him, like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yep.
And he had given me a bunch more pictures. He hadn't heard about that picture of the plume of smoke yet, but I told him about it. So I'm okay. Next week I'm going to be around that same area. I'm going to stop in and talk to him. Hey, have you heard any more? Send me some more pictures. Hit your Instagram up. Send me those pictures so I can share them with others and get the word out there that this is still a big thing. Some of those chemicals are huge. That's going to affect people for a long time.
And like everybody says too, it's wading through all of the mud to find the solid ground. Like there's all kinds of people out there saying, well, I tried to post a picture of this, or I tried to post that, and I posted it, and in 5 minutes it was taken down, and they won't let us post the truth, and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, who knows what is the truth and what isn't in that kind of a case. And I don't know. I'm just struggling. I'm really struggling with that one, with the lack of, I mean, they just said yesterday that it's been 5 days now since this happened, I believe, or 4 or 5 days. And they were just saying that FEMA was just so for people who aren't in the States, that's the Federal Emergency Management Agency. FEMA was just getting their boots on the ground. It took them 4 days to bother to go there and see what was going on. So,
wow.
Well, didn't it take them like 10 days or something to get to what was the arena there after Katrina? It took them like 10 days to get water to the whatever dome it was.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're. Yeah, where they the Superdome, wasn't it? Isn't it
Superdome? That's it.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it took them 10 days or 11 days or something to get water, just one truckload of water.
Yeah,
how many people that were sitting there?
But that also speaks to the whole issue of, because that's a regulated system and certain criteria need to be hit, right? Like you can't, right? Like everybody says, like, the government will look out for me, but I'm like, there are certain steps that need to be, or certain boxes, we'll say, that need to be checked before certain specific things can come and help a specific person, right? So like, as we've talked about, and I mean, I haven't been on all the episodes, but like, just like, being self-reliant on certain things, keeping an eye out on the news that's happening currently, and if you know someone around that area, getting all your info, and not going out just being like, oh my god, I need to buy 20 gallons of water, 6 new guns, a whole bunch of ammo, 5-gallon pails of mac and cheese that I'm gonna live off for like 3 weeks, right?
You like so far listed all my favorite things. Carry on.
Right, and all those things, right? Like, which all goes back to like maybe a little bit off topic of what we're talking about, but like just doing specific little things to help do something for yourself. So if you don't get informed, if you rely strictly on the news of what's happening down there with the trail derailment and a whole bunch of things that could be happening, if you rely strictly on the sources that tell you whatever, my rule of thumb is try and find a news article that is very left and very right. And if you take both of those and meet in the middle, it's fairly close to accurate, which is hard to find both sides of media, right? Like people will report really bad about Justin Trudeau or really good about Justin Trudeau or this or that. And trying to find that happy medium that, like, in certain situations, you can probably find news articles that say something is really, really bad and something is really, really good. And then in the middle is probably like, this probably won't affect you, is the way I like to try and find any info that you guys don't relate to me. But I mean, I just follow you guys' word.
And I'm kind of the same way. I've kind of always said there's two sides to every story, and the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there's 3 sides to every story.
Yep.
The right,
the left, the right, and the middle.
The left, and what actually happened.
Yep.
Yep.
I like to take if it's a bigger media story, one that's going to catch the attention of more than just kind of a little local area. I like to try to look for 3 different sources from completely different areas. So like one from here, one from maybe say Europe, one from another source, and look at them and see, okay, is my local media reporting the same as say the media in the States, and then say the media in the UK? If it's a bigger event that's kind of more widespread and going to create more interest, I'll look at all 3 of them and say, okay, are they all kind of saying the same thing, or is one way out there reporting one thing and one way out the other way? And that kind of helps at least add some credibility to the story, or show that they're at least lining the story up to report all the exact same. But I figure if it's 3 different countries, all different, kind of similar story, most likely the information that's getting out there is a little bit more reliable. I never 100% believe all of it, but
only the Instagram stuff.
Well, yeah, of course. Cats are never wrong.
No. I don't like them, but it's rare that they're wrong.
I don't trust them, but they're very reliable with their news. And come on, like, they wear sunglasses. It's awesome.
And I got 2 of
And you
them.
got 2 of them.
There.
Yeah.
You need a 3rd one, and there's your 3 news sources.
Yeah. You're good to go.
No.
You just got to spread them out, though. Can't all be in the same room with the same article.
I mean, unless the articles are vary, right? Like,
True.
yeah,
True.
Could work.
All right. So catch us next week on Instagram.
We're all gonna have sunglasses like the cool cats.
We are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. But again, with the whole media thing, just being constantly bombarded by, the world's ending, this is terrible, that's terrible, all these bad things happening, it can definitely, especially if you become hyper focused on it, lead into burnout, which is why I wanted to kind of put both topics in together. We did touch on burnout around this time last year. So January 9th, 2022, we did an episode on preppr burnout. It's episode 144 if anybody's interested in going back and checking that out. But especially with the way the media has been the last probably 3 and a bit years now since the whole COVID thing hit, it can really wear on a lot of people very, very quickly. So I thought putting the 2 together, talking about kind of how we cut through the myths that we see, or just the media slamming on you about one specific topic was one important thing to get into. And then just retouching on preppr burnout, because like I said, it's been, what are we at, about 3 years now of just this constant COVID stuff and all this other doom and the world's ending and this is all going wrong kind of thing. So it's really, really possible, especially in the preparedness world, to get hyper focused on that and then just completely burn out and just call it quits, right? And just not want to do the preppr thing anymore, or just get so hyper focused on it that that's the only thing you're preparing for. And then next thing you know, you're not ready for the little stuff that comes along. So I figured we'd touch on just burnout and some ways that you can refocus and continue on whatever it is you're preparing for, but as well keep in mind that just your general day-to-day activities that happen as well. So the first thing on my list for just avoiding burnout is just be realistic with your preps. Right? Like I said, a lot of people will just instantly, especially when you're new to this kind of thing and you're just kind of dipping your toes in the water of preparedness, which a lot of people have been doing since the whole COVID thing. Just be realistic. If there's no point in jumping in the deep end and trying to swim with this stuff. Start out small, start out little. There's no point in saying, I'm just going to jump in and start preparing for the zombie apocalypse that I figure is going to happen tomorrow. Probably not. It's going to happen tomorrow.
Today?
No, tomorrow's not the day. We got at least 3 days.
Oh, okay.
At least 3.
Tomorrow would be so convenient. I'm home all day.
I know, right?
like all my supplies are there. Like I gotta fight zombies to get home because of
makes for better stories.
Okay.
Leave
instructions on how to get the guns out here. I'll come get you.
Yeah, the story's no good if you're all at home ready to go.
Buddy, do I have a movie for you?
Good.
There's lots of movies based on you being at home and shit happening.
Well, good, because I've got an episode for you. So
yeah, Yeah.
So yeah,
But,
kind of piggybacking on what Eric said there. I kind of put in one of my things is, like Eric says, be realistic. So I said, make your goals achievable,
Yep.
realistic, and something that you enjoy doing. There's nothing more making the day drag or not getting your spirits up than like, oh, I got to go and do that. And I don't like doing that. And I'm not very good at it and blah, blah, blah. Then don't do it. Pick something else. Find something that you enjoy doing that's going to make the day go faster. That's not going to get you into a rut. Just like I said, make them achievable, realistic, and something that you're going to enjoy doing. Start small and progress at a pace that's good for you. Don't try to do the quote unquote keep up with the Joneses. That's not a good thing either.
That and involve your family. This isn't a solo mission. Unless you're single, then it's a solo mission. But even then, try to find some like-minded people, and
they become family.
Yeah, and include your family
as long as they're not douchey.
Yeah.
yes. Avoid douches. Yes.
Get the wife and/or husband, significant other, to get involved with you, even if they don't really agree with your prepping for all of this stuff. Find something that they do like to do, and wait to do those things until you're ready for them to join you. Make it an event, make it a date, make something of it. Get the kids doing something with you on Saturdays and Sundays, or school vacations, whatnot. Involve everybody.
Almost guaranteed you will be able to find some sort of event or some sort of thing that they are concerned about that they think may or may not happen. And it doesn't have to be like a huge thing. It could be a very small little thing, and just start
like canceling the Kardashians. Nobody
That's
wants
terrible.
That.
Yeah, terrible. You got to be prepared for that. Because now what are you going to watch on Saturday nights? Right? It's very important to be ready for that.
Switch that to Sundays and I have a recommendation.
I like where you're going with this. Well done. Yeah.
I actually like it.
And then slowly roll into Mondays.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
My prepping has started to wear off on my daughter a little more than I really realized in the last little while. I don't remember what she said to me the other day, but we were talking about having a couple of things of one particular item, a couple of
can openers,
and the can openers. Absolutely. let's just use can openers as the example.
Because that's what it was. We all know it.
No, it
10 is none, 11 is 1.
Yeah.
She looked at me and said, "Well, Dad, 2 is 1 and 1 is none." And turned back around to keep doing whatever she was doing. I high-fived her and cried. I was so happy she was starting to get it.
Yep.
That she understood the concept, and I'm very happy.
Nice. That's always good.
That's good.
Yeah. So starting to get it, starting to come around. But yeah, involve the family.
Yep.
Yes.
No,
but
good.
Well, yeah, there was
of that.
No, go ahead, Peter. I got to find something here. So
okay. Yeah, but be mindful of that because our daughter, we've always said be prepared. We always do this stuff. But then there was one day we were leaving the house and she came out with 4 bags full of all her stuffed animals. And we were like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "Well, what if there's a fire and the house burns down?" I was like, "Well, I don't want to fucking go anywhere now because now I'm worried the house is gonna burn." Right? She decided to bring all her teddies with her just in case something happens. So I'm like,
the question to follow that up with is, what have you done that's going to cause that fire?
I left the dollar behind the plug where but it was just it's good for that, but I'm like, you got to be very mindful and very precautious of young brains being a sponge, right? So if you're always like, "Oh my god, this is," they can start in their own way start becoming very paranoid and be too tinfoil hat for many things. So you got to be involving the family is not a bad thing, but you also they depending on I don't know your kid compared to better than you are, but you got to be really mindful of can this person handle the information you're saying? And, little things like her daughter's big on first aid. She loves doing whatever. So it's like, okay, let's make a little first aid kit. And she's got one in her backpack. It's got a few Band-Aids, a few things. What if one of my friends get hurt? Perfect. That's an awesome thing. But I mean, I'm not going to show her how to do a bunch of other stuff. And, we take first aid seriously. And, it helped out a little while ago. Daughter called because Mel was busy with the dog. The paw was bleeding. Go to the front door, go grab. I bought a pack-out kit, made my own first aid kit. Go grab that, bring it. Okay, so dog wasn't bleeding everywhere. They popped it open. Hey, this is kind of organized pretty good. We got the blood stopped bleeding. Everything was good. And there wasn't a giant mess. There wasn't a big panic, which I'm like, that's what you want, right? You want people to not panic when little things happen, right? I mean, those doomsday events, like everybody's going to panic a little bit, but like just getting people prepared for those little things is just key in those scenarios. It's nice.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And you're using a kid as an example for not overloading them and not pushing all kinds of stuff at them at once, but it works for adults too. You may very well overload an adult with a whole bunch of information that they're just not ready to hear. Right? There's that possibility as well. So yeah, be cognizant of your audience and kind of know how to lead them down the path of doing the whole preparedness thing, but don't overload them at once, because that's going to lead to burning them out even before they get started.
That's why I keep my mouth shut.
And what I was going to touch on there a little earlier, I found the article, and it was just in a local newspaper here, online thing, and it just basically was a story about a mom, and the title of the article says, "Getting kids into food prep, meal planning key for local family," and it just goes into getting the kids involved in the food prep. Then the kids are getting what they want because they're preparing it themselves. They're making their own thing. And she said, how as it's progressing, they're looking at, okay, what do I want for dinner tonight? Well, I want this. And I know where it is and I know how to make it. And I can go and make it while mom's doing something else or dad's doing the other thing. And
that's awesome.
That is by far the best advice I could ever say. So going back to our daughter, hey, do you want scrambled eggs? Yeah. Right. She just turned 10. Like, hey, do you want to learn how to make scrambled eggs? She's like, yeah, sure. So we showed her, like, crack 2 eggs, add a bit of salt, pepper, a little bit of milk, butter in a pan, put some bread in the toaster or whatever. She woke up every day for like 3 weeks straight and made her own breakfast. She had scrambled eggs and toast for 3 weeks straight. Nice. And she was so proud of herself. On the weekend, she was like, do you guys want scrambled eggs? She cracked up like 6-7 eggs, made breakfast for me and Mel. And I'm like, but, getting them involved, being a little bit, so it was the best thing. And now it's just like, same with food prep. We do food prep on the weekends sometimes, or most times. But just cook a bunch of stuff, the stuff that takes a while or whatever. And if we're all feeling like eating something different, there's a few options in the fridge. I can make that. I can make that for everybody, right? She can warm this up and do this or that. Getting kids involved is just the best thing ever, because then eventually they'll start making food for you as long as they're not crappy cooks.
which is in that direction.
As long as you can teach them to not be crappy cooks.
Yeah, and the other thing, I was kind of gonna say to that is, if for whatever reason something happens to you, Pierre, you're out of town, your truck breaks down, you can't get back, it's just her and Mel, whatever, she can help out. She can be of an assistance, and it makes, and I'm sure, kids struggle with everything that's going on now in school and all that stuff. To make them feel that they're important and they've done something important and they've helped out, I'm sure would go a long ways to their mental health and their willingness to jump in and take on more responsibility and all that stuff.
Keep up the praise when it's needed.
Yeah.
When it's warranted, for sure. But not yet. Absolutely.
And Brad can contest that this is a household that loves cooking. And is pretty good at it. Except for those one set of fucking potatoes.
No. We're not going to go there. We're not going to
go there. For that one set of potatoes. Right?
Like now I have to check the box for the episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Those
Sunday
baked
beer. Sunday.
potatoes, you just
Right.
weren't happy with them.
Yeah,
Everybody
I wasn't
else
pleased with
stared
those
them
potatoes.
down.
But we love cooking, do it all the time, spend hours and hours in the kitchen. And yeah, having, your kid like, hey, forget about everything and just come in and make eggs, make pancakes, make anything, getting them involved and like, hey, this is why we do this, right? Depending on what you want to eat or whatever, getting them involved gets them away from whether, if you're stuck in the kitchen for 2-3 hours, they might, get on the used tubes or
Mhm.
playing, Minecraft or whatever, gets them away from all that technology and where they can probably get, nothing worse than your kid coming out and saying like, I saw a video about this, and you got no clue what they're talking about because you don't trust anything on the news, right? Like getting them to disconnect and not burn out because you're busy doing certain things that you're like, oh well, I'm just gonna do it because it's gonna be faster than involving a kid or someone that doesn't know,
Mhm.
whether it's your kid or a new person to prepping, but helps them disconnect from you don't want to burn out, but you also don't want people around you to burn out where that's extra on your plate to help them get back to it, everything, which is key. So I mean, we do it by cooking, which is always awesome, except for that one set of potatoes.
All right. So the next thing I've kind of got on my list here, and I think everybody at one point in time or another falls victim to this, and it's just obsessing over one specific situation or disaster, and just that's the thing I'm getting ready for. I don't care about anything else. This is it. This is what's going to happen tomorrow. Sorry, it's
Scott.
not the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. Scott, yep, with his gasifiers. Yeah. But that's one thing to just kind of keep in mind as you're doing or getting your prepared your preps in place and figuring out what it is that you want to prepare for, because we all have different things that we're preparing for, and we all have different things that we think are going to go wrong, and we have similar things as well, of course. But every once in a while, just refocusing yourself and realizing I've really been obsessing about this one specific thing for a long period of time, and snapping yourself out of that can really help refocus
Absolutely.
you and avoid that whole burnout situation. Because if you just spin your wheels constantly about that zombie apocalypse, that again, it's not happening tomorrow, but 3 days from now, it's just it's gonna get to the point where you're never going to get to that end. You're never going to be completely ready for it. And
so
and you're never going to be satisfied that you're ready for it, because there's always going to be something new you're going to obsess over. So spread yourself out a bit. Stop worrying about the trampoline, Scott, and start worrying about the medical stuff and the backup generator and getting enough wood, like Jeff has. Like you said before, Jeff, you have like 2 years of wood ready to go. Right? Spread yourself out. Get some other things going.
I noticed
Also,
Scott is in the comments.
Yeah, I noticed him too.
Didn't want to join us
And-
this evening,
and-
I see.
And that was one of the things that I had on my list too. And I think Eric's got it in his. And if I'm jumping ahead, I'll apologize. But take a break if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are feeling that you're in that, as Eric said, if you're in that rut over that one thing and that's all you're worried about, and you do, you know what? There's nothing wrong with putting your hands up and saying, I need to step back. Take a break if you need it. Regroup, refresh, and go at it with a different set of eyes, maybe, or a different perspective. Don't abandon it, because it's important and you need to do it. But if it's got to that point where that's all you're thinking about, you probably need to step back for a little bit and just take that time, and I find it helps to, when you're taking that break, take some of that time to get out and meet with like-minded people and share ideas, share thoughts. Me and Eric are in a group, a local preppers group here, and once a month, on a Sunday afternoon, we meet at a local coffee shop for a couple hours, and we just basically talk
around,
and
shoot the breeze,
throw ideas back and forth, and
brainstorm, right? Brainstorm and
troubleshoot issues that people are having. Talk about other things outside of the preparedness world. You name it.
How's life?
There's other stuff.
I know, weird, right?
When did that happen?
Brad, you might be burning out.
you haven't been accepted to that level tier yet, where there's stuff outside of that. Keep working at it.
Yeah.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I definitely agree with you.
Yep.
Take some time to back
And-
up.
and I mean, one of the things that made me realize that the most was I fix equipment now, but I used to be automotive apprentice and mechanic, and fighting for like hours. Like power steering lines were always the worst. Like everything is so perfect, everything has to line up perfect for everything to work, and I'm like, fighting with it for like 20 minutes trying to get this one fitting back on, and it was getting all frustrated. You're covered in oil that stinks, and then just being like, you know what, go get a coffee, come back, and it's like the first thing you do is just boom, it's done. So like, yeah, you really find that disconnect if you've had in those scenarios where it's like, me mostly it was working with my hands, trying to do whatever, but trying to write a novel, or maybe not a novel, but like information, coming up with a course, whatever you're doing, normally taking a break and just go for a walk around the block and come back, and like it kind of just hits that reset most scenarios, that like you can get a fresh looks, or even if there's something like that, getting someone that has not been around you trying to do whatever, getting a fresh set of eyes on it can make a world of difference. You've been sitting at something for like 3 days trying to figure it out, and then your friend comes up and just looks at it, just been like, well, what if you do this, and problem solved. Nothing drives you more nuts than that. But
Nope.
Getting that fresh set of eyes, right? Like you get way too into it that getting people involved in what you're doing, unless you get to the crazy tinfoil hat and the string to relate everything to the aliens that built the pyramids, right?
Yep.
At that point, you maybe not bringing your friend over is the best, but yeah, in those scenarios, right, just getting other people in on it and hitting that reset pause button is always the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Or even to cycle into the whole take a break thing, you'll see this throughout even our episodes, where there's weeks where panelists say, didn't do anything last week for preparedness at all. We just didn't do a thing. And that's just taking a break from it, stepping back, doing something different. And we all do it. And I think that's a really good example of it that kind of shows that it's totally doable, and you can still have that mindset and just literally take a week and not do anything for your preps.
Do nothing.
Yep.
I know
we
last
did
week
so many good things that we don't want to advertise it.
Well, there's that too. There's a little bit of gray, man. We're not going to give everything away. This is the internet after all.
Well, that, and like last week, I was planning on being on, and then it just didn't happen. I had other things going on, and I decided, no, I'm just going to take a break.
Yeah.
And I didn't even. I only downloaded the episode. I think it was on Tuesday afternoon, and listened to it on the way to Montreal in the truck.
Oh, well,
And
thanks for being a priority.
How
you're
was the
welcome,
audio?
Jim.
I am curious.
It was good. It was actually good.
Yeah?
I know you were saying in the chat there to let me know how it was. There was nothing wrong with the audio. It downloaded perfectly. Everything was good with it. It was
No
fine.
rage quits. No.
No, actually, no rage quits. Even though Alan was on, right? Was he on?
That's good. So anybody who's curious, our service we use to record StreamYard, and they implemented a new service that basically records each panelist separately on their own computer, and then uploads it, and then I'm able to edit it. So it just makes editing a little bit easier. I shouldn't say easier. Makes it better. It's trickier to edit, but it's better quality because I can assign certain filters to each panelist for the audio version. For the YouTube version and the live version, you guys are on your own. But for the audio version that I push out after the live show, I can edit everybody individually and kind of bring their sound up or down accordingly and tweak things. So hopefully it sounds a little bit better. This episode, it won't, because I didn't check the box for that episode before we hit go live. So we're back to old school for tonight. But last week's episode was like that, and next week's episode will be like that. But
as long as you check the box.
As long as I check the box.
As long as you check the box.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the pre-show, we have to tell you, Eric, check the box.
Check the box. Yeah.
We should put that at the top of the show notes. template.
the box.
Check the
Yes.
box.
Check the box. Yeah, that'd be good.
Right above where you put the link for the show notes, right? For the
There
show
you
That'd be
go.
good.
notes.
Yeah,
Check the box.
remind me to check the box. Yeah. Yeah, which lines up quite nicely with the next point I have here of just get a plan in place and stick with it. So get that plan to check that box, and then you'll check it every week. So it's
As long as the same people are on.
As long as yeah, just make sure that the box is checked. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Which relates to prepping, right? Like at the end of the day, we all have a list that we want to check the box. So like do what you can to check the box without getting too into checking the box is the only thing that matters.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the audio gets bad, I mean, just get a little bit better at managing time, and you can watch us live at 9.
That is true.
Yes, on Sundays,
And
every
is
Sunday, 9
But if-
Eastern.
and I'll kind of be the first to admit that's a struggle that I have is sticking with it, because I always find that I've got 2 and 3 and 4 things on the go, and you're doing something and you're maybe 3/4 of the way through it and something else comes up and you go, well, I'll drop that and I'll go and I'll do this. And you're doing that one and you don't quite finish it. And something else pops up and you jump it. And next thing you know, you're going, oh, wait a minute. I got 4 other things now that I haven't finished. And so that for me is something that I constantly work on, is trying to be more on one topic or one item and
more
see
A
it
to
through.
Z on more A to Z on everything, right? We're bad for I am, and I'll say we as an all, but probably just me. Like, we're organizing our workroom / podcast room, and like we will get to a point where it's like it's almost done, and it's just like that nitty gritty stuff that you're dragging on, and you're like you find something else to do, and then you get to the nitty gritty where like you don't want to do it, and then all of a sudden you're back to square one because you didn't finish that nitty gritty, and you were like, well, there's a little bit of stuff laying around, so if I leave this, it's okay, right? Like it's not going to add that much, but
turns into more.
But then it turns into more where you're like back,
yeah,
and then you're back to square one where you're like, son of a, so yeah, it's figuring out the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to start at A and finish at Z. Sometimes it takes funds, sometimes it takes space you have, sometimes it takes just man hours that aren't there depending on your job and your personal life. But it's trying to figure out, like, if you say, okay, I'm going to put this on pause because something else is of importance, you got to remember that when that really important thing is done, you got to go back to K or Q and go all the way to Z on that first task that you were like, this is taking too much, or I don't have the time, I don't have the funds, but like, hey, the funds are here, I can complete this task and say, okay, I'm going to do this to Z before going on this other one that may seem more fun and important at the time, but may not be because you haven't finished this initial task, which will make this task completed. And, checking off those boxes from A to Z is a very hard thing. Like I can get to like W, no problem. But like
that's impressive.
Yeah, but like that last little bit, but it's always like that nitty gritty stuff, right? Like our workroom, podcast room, whatever we do. Like we've got a lot of stuff for like when we buy a house, and then we've got a bunch of paperwork that we've had around for like years. And I'm like, we could probably throw all this out, but like you're not going to until you've gone through all of it. But it's also like 6 boxes of stuff. So like you put those 6 boxes aside, and then like, another box ends up there, and then some other stuff ends up there. And then all of a sudden, half your room is all these boxes that you're like, I'll get to that later. And you're like, man, I was almost there, and I reset that clock. Yeah, and I reset that clock, right? So now you're sitting there, and you're like, okay, fine. But you also put all that stuff that you initially avoided aside, and you deal with only the recent stuff you put there. So it's like, that's a thing we're working on, I'm working on, that it's like, okay, let's get to the point where I'm like, I can check this box and be like, if I don't put anything new in there, I don't have to worry about it. I just got to worry about like, getting the spiders and the dust mites and, the dust out. And I'm like, I don't have to worry about anything. and it's a very hard challenge in most scenarios for us, right? Like upstairs, yes, you do your dishes every day and everything, but it's like that room that you only use from time to time. It's crazy how much you can pack in there, and they realize, why did I do this, and just hate it.
It's true though. You're not wrong.
Nope. I have to say I'm in that same boat as what you had said, Jeff and Pierre, that I learned that from my father, that he owned his own business for years. Yeah, we're going to go and do this today. And then you get 3/4 of the way done it. And, okay, yeah, we got to stop that. And like you said, Eric, yeah, this is more important. We got to go and do that. And then it takes 2 weeks to get back to the other thing. That I have struggled with that for a long time to, okay, I'm going to go do the laundry today. That's all I'm doing today. It's just laundry. And I've tried and tried.
I didn't fold it. I didn't put it away, but it all got washed.
Oh no, I mean
still in the dryer. Yeah.
I mean wash,
That's
dry,
okay.
fold, put away. I hate having laundry around, and I hate having unfinished projects around. And I'm doing what I can to make sure I don't do that anymore. Yeah, it's part of the constantly trying to better myself thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And that's the nice reset away from Main Street media and all some of the fear mongering that can go through depending which news source you follow through. That I'm like, it's just a nice disconnect to put a documentary that you're just interested in the background while you fold those 9 baskets of laundry, because who needs to fold laundry when you have another basket around, and then you have no baskets and there's 9 of them to fold, and 6 of them are your kids' clothes, which is surprising how much kids' clothes you need to fold in a regular basket that is not as much for yourself.
That's why you get rid of baskets.
Yeah, I think that's the way that it's gonna go real soon, right?
We got rid of 3 baskets last week. Worked out nicely that not as much laundry around anymore because there's not enough baskets to hold it all.
Right? Or not enough areas that you can just like empty baskets onto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can make a world of difference when you're 4 o'clock in the morning looking for a pair of underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Not even gonna ask why you're looking for underwear at 4 in the morning. Don't need to know.
I get up at 4 some days.
Yeah. Well,
I gotta get dressed sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
that's
fair
what
enough.
I'm normally done. That's what I'm normally done trying to get to bed.
I'll let you tell the internet that. Yeah. Another point I've got here for just avoiding burnout is find a hobby that is related to preparedness. And I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit of just finding something that you enjoy doing that directly links to preparedness. I've gotten the show notes here just in brackets, cough, cough, ham radio.
Shocker.
But, I had to work it in there somehow, right?
But specifically, right? So you do a lot of testing outdoors, the parks on the air. Is that what it is?
Yep.
So, but specifically doing something like that makes you need to get out of the house. If all your preparedness is, food prep, your storage, reload, everything inside your house, finding something that you're interested in, but also
outside
gets you out.
Yep.
Right. Away from everything you deal with every day, right? If you work from home, depending on most scenarios now for work, right? Since the COVID's like, my brother worked at an office or whatever, and like, I think like a month into the whole COVID, everybody worked from home. Like they called them and said like, yeah, go, like we sent you a link on your work email, like pick a time slot, clear out your desk. You're never coming back to the office. It is cheaper for you to stay home. Like here's your monthly fee to help for extra bills or whatever. And like your yearly allowance, like, keep your office chair comfy and everything. It's like, it's cheaper for us to do that. So, I mean, if you, work from home, you do all your preps at home, you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of stuff and you come home, like try and find something related to your preparedness, but also change your environment. So like your ham radio, right? Go outside, test your equipment, parks on the air, that happens from time to time. Like give you that break from your all day, every day. If you're in your house all day, every day, and you go to the post office once a month or once a week, like giving yourself that change of environment can make a world of difference on like that, reset, just keeping you avoiding burning out, going down too many rabbit holes,
It's a great
which is
point.
always good.
Even just changing up the environment and changing up your scene can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Agreed. Get out and do something.
And another thing that I've sort of got there too is even experienced preppers, and I wouldn't call myself experienced, still have things to work on. Nobody except Alan, who's Ian, or Ian, who's Alan, or whatever, is perfect.
Don't
we're always,
give them that.
If they were perfect, they would be here.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. So
that is all
maybe they're the
dependent.
exception
Maybe
to the
they're
rule.
trying to avoid their burnout by taking a small break because they've had a busy week.
A small break being like 8 weeks.
Potatoes, like depending how many eggs you got for the potato salad, like it all makes sense.
Jeez.
Still on them potatoes, eh?
Yeah.
Must have been some terrible potatoes.
Oh, they were fantastic. Pierre just
they
didn't
were
like how
good.
turned
They
out.
just they weren't right.
So they were crunchy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, no, not crunchy. I put too many red chili peppers in it. It was just a little bit too much kick and not enough of the sweet I was looking for. And this was 3 years ago. I haven't screwed up potato since, but
they haven't let you forget it either, right?
Nope.
I'm
the only one that brings it up. I'm the only one that brings it up. Yeah.
It almost sounds like you were describing Ian and Alan there.
But the sweet and
sweet,
spicy?
but a little bit of a kick. Yeah.
No, they weren't
Kind of
sweet
mushy,
enough. They were
yeah.
just
Kind of,
kicky.
Yeah.
Have you tried chloroform? They kick less.
Oh boy.
I definitely agree.
Good
with
thing
what
you hit
said
that
here.
explicit one at the
It
beginning.
is,
20
I
minutes
haven't
ago.
hit it yet. I haven't hit it yet, but I will be hitting it. Yep.
Oh, definitely now.
I do agree with you, Eric, to find a hobby, find something to stop doing your main focus and get out and do something different. And yes, if it happens to involve or be around the preparedness world, great.
Yeah.
Like I've cracked the spine on that ham radio book 6 times. I haven't yet got past chapter 2, but I'm working slowly through the book.
It gets better in chapter 3.
Oh, good. Something to look forward to.
Tune in next week for Friday preps. I got to chapter 2.5.
Lies, all lies.
Right.
I'm very much hoping to have that hopefully by, December 31st, 23 is to have that. Even if I don't take a course, just to go through that book. And I already bookmarked the test generator, the questions generator thingy. And as I'm going through the book, start going through some of those tests, and whatever question I can answer, try to do it and just keep going through it.
Best way to do it.
Figured, why not?
Yeah.
And
some way to get a hold of everybody, even when the times are good.
Yep.
Some way to still get a hold of somebody that is different than the norm. Why not? So.
And I would even throw in a little side thing to what Eric was just saying, of finding a hobby related to preparedness. As he does the ham radio, it gets him out of the house. Not that he doesn't go out of the house, but even if you find a hobby that you assign time once a week, once every 2-3 days, even if it's not related to preparedness, might actually even be better than it being related to preparedness, to give you that guaranteed break.
Yep.
Once a week. Right? Like if you're into ham radio and that gets you out of the house, and like you want to do, 100% all the time, dingleberries to the wall all the time, find something related. But if you're a person that like needs that break from time to time, finding a hobby away from that preparedness can be your giant to avoid burnout, doing this twice a week for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, can really cut down on that giant burnout that too many people get because they're so focused on like, no, I gotta be, 100% ready for the zombie apocalypse, the world meltdown, the economic crash,
Random weather balloons.
Weather
Trampolines
balloons,
flying through the air.
UFOs, the gasifier that Scott built going haywire and coming through my house and exploding half of my house because I have propane in the house.
Collecting enough trampolines for the asteroids.
Yeah, and then so I'm gonna put a trampoline in my basement so that if that happens, I can send it back to that asshole. But like even finding something completely separate away from preparedness may not be a bad thing. You don't have to have everything, but if you've got something that you take 2 hours once, twice a week away from all your preparedness, go play. Find a softball team around you if you're into anything, or just go watch a movie. Go out for supper with friends that are not into preparedness.
Yep.
Right. Completely not up for it, and have a conversation not related around to it can give you a giant upper hand and hopefully, prevent this burnout from going down way too many rabbit holes.
Yep.
Pierre's got a good hobby. He makes t-shirts.
Yes.
They're fantastic too.
Yes. Don't do it, buddy. You know what though? So it's surprising. Up until about we started making t-shirts, like I hadn't bought a t-shirt, and like I still have t-shirts from when I was in 8th grade.
Yes, Mel.
I still 100% have. I have made myself and Mel more t-shirts in the last year. Like I have a giant stack of like inappropriate t-shirts that I'm like, some of them are not inappropriate enough that I'm like, I want to make more to go out in public and offend more people and hopefully have a confrontation and have a conversation. I mean, it probably won't go well for them, but that's beside the point. But I'm like, and I'm like, that's the thing. Like, we'll sit down. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with it. Someone will message us and be like, hey, I want 6 t-shirts that say this, but I want a design. And I'm like, Mel's done most of it, but I mean, I'll take some credit for it because like we're together. That's about it. But but something like I am not tech savvy at all. Like I'm sure you guys have seen it. Like how many times have I been like, hey, this won't work. Oh, right click, then open. Oh, thanks. Something that most people would figure. But I'm like, me doing the podcast on the nights that I do, I'm like, subjects that I'm not entirely good with, and I'm like, I'm really crappy at people. Like, it gets me away from the normal crappy life that most people may have. So find yourself a podcast to be on. That's my recommendation.
Come
you have
join
to
us.
deal with less people.
Come join us. Yeah. Awesome. Well, anybody on the panel have anything else to add to our list of stuff?
That all depends how much time you got.
I've technically got all night.
Do what you can. Start small if you're just getting into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't burn yourself out. Don't try to prepare for everything or just one thing all at once. Spread it out a bit. A variety of things is probably better than just one thing.
Yep.
We harp on Scott about we harp on Scott about doing the gasifier things, and we know that he prepares for more than just that. Just as something nice to harp on.
Don't be nice to him. He bailed on us tonight.
But just like you, Eric, you're the comms guy, but yet you have your own preparedness company. You're prepared for a lot of stuff.
It's true.
That's because he gets discounts on ham stuff.
That could be part of it, absolutely. But
maybe not.
Start small, be comfortable, don't break the bank. Get out there and explore and take a break when needed.
Yep. Exactly it. Well, with that, should we move into the podcast challenge? So for tonight's episode is pretty simple. Just check in with yourself and folks in your prepper community. If you're part of a community of some sort, just make sure you're on track and not burning yourself out. So just go over some tips and tricks that we've given you in this episode and just do a quick check-in. Upcoming events. You want to run with it, Jeff?
Sure. So we have the, I just got to find where I am here on the page. The annual Preppers Meet is going on in Desborough, Ontario, the weekend of July 6th to 9th. I don't have a link, or there isn't a link in there yet to the website. We'll get one and get it posted up there. But I haven't been. I want to go. I know a couple of the other panelists also really want to go, just to not to say we've done it, but to see what else is out there and what other people's ideas, thoughts, processes, that kind of stuff are, and be in a big group of like-minded people for a couple of days. I'm quite sure the stories and ideas you'd get would be limitless.
It is a fantastic gathering. I've gone for many, many years now, and it's like Jeff described there, it's a group of like-minded individuals. Everybody is more than willing to share their knowledge and experience with others. They've got a range of people there from just started their preparedness journey to been doing it for decades, and everybody's just friendly and willing to share their knowledge and experience with everybody else. And it's been fun to watch it grow over the years from a small little group to bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just getting bigger as the years go on. But it's been it's a great event to get out to. So if you get the opportunity to, definitely suggest it.
Do you happen to know how many years it has gone on for now?
It's got to be. Let's see, how long have I been running the business for? I've been doing Rapid Survival since 2014, and we had just been going around then. Yeah.
So almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so it's been good.
So should I wait for 10? Is there extra like free prizes? In case I can only make it.
I can't tell you. That would give away the surprise.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah.
After we stop recording.
No, we won't. All right, you got a weather blurb there, Jeff?
Sure. So it's funny that what I had put in the beginning of my blurb sort of ties in with what we talked about with, not so much misinformation, but, I'll say this, weather is very hard to forecast, believe it or not, even with all these supercomputers and, looking at all the models and past histories and all that. There are times that things just don't happen as they're planned or you think they're going to happen. The severe storm outbreak I forecasted last weekend that was going to happen the middle of this week, for the most part, failed to materialize. There were several severe thunderstorms. There was a couple tornadoes, but the large outbreak that pretty well everybody was banking on didn't happen. And we're still not sure why. All the parameters were present. A lot of storms showed rotation and then just died out. I know some people think that all it is fear mongering. We're scaring everybody. We're presenting the worst case scenario all the time. That's not the case. What I'm trying to do is present what I think is the most logical scenario. So if it happens, you're prepared. And if it doesn't happen, well, then you know what? Actually, that's a great thing. The fact that a tornado didn't wipe out your town is a good thing, believe it or not.
Woo-hoo.
So, don't
Depends
bitch,
where you
be
live.
happy about it. So that being said, I am watching the development of what I would say a long-term, it's about probably 3 days in length, of a potent storm that's going to basically spread all across the upper U.S. and central Canada, basically all the way from the west coast to the east coast, starting sometime Tuesday and ending Thursday. Things are still developing. The forecast could change, but right now there's a good potential for this to be a fairly serious ice storm into the northern states and southern Ontario. I'm looking at big target cities like Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, Windsor, Chatham, those kind of places have the potential to see a lot of ice. Again, this is temperature dependent, so a shift of a few kilometers in the storm center can decide whether you're getting ice or snow. As I mentioned in the last podcast, the polar vortex has broken up and the cold air is expanding into Canada and the upper US. The Plains states and Western Canada will see pretty cold temperatures and some significant wind chills for this week. There's also the possibility of heavy snow around the BC-Alberta border. Some places, Calgary, I believe Lethbridge, those places are saying they could get somewhere around 30 centimeters of snow in the next couple of days, on top of what's coming with the other storm. So I did throw a link in there just from AccuWeather talking about this potential for that storm. Again, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm just trying, like I said, to give you the best logical information that I can, and you do with it what you want.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, right.
Take a break from you.
I think I'll do the best I can with that, and definitely rotate some gas earlier this week and start my generator and make sure my snowblower is going to run. Just
Lessons learned. Lessons learned.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Deal of the week. I know this is going to be a shocker, but Princess Auto again's got a pretty good deal going. 800 portable jump starter. So it's a regular $89.99. It's on sale for $54.99. So some of those little portable booster packs that you can boost the car with. So they're worth their weight in gold and a decent price.
I have two of the NOCO ones from Canadian Tire.
That's what I carry.
And I got one in the wife's car and one in my car. And I'm just looking at this one now. I'm wanting to know if how is it recharge, and if it's got like a USB on it.
Yeah, no, it's got reviews. The reviews are very good on it. They're all very recent. I'm gonna do a little bit more digging for that price.
I think your mic might be moved there, Pierre.
Yeah.
Hard to hear you.
Oh yeah, there you go. Look at that. I was coughing earlier, so I moved it out of the way. From the reviews, it looks like definitely worth inquiring, and I mean, for the extra funds, if they're available, well worth trying it out, and then at least you can relay that info saying avoid this, or this is the best thing since sliced bread. Keep an eye on for the next sale.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that. That second part is go and look at one.
Yep. Why not?
I have to go just down the street from there on Tuesday, so I might stop in there first and then go to Montreal.
Very nice.
But you could also stop in Montreal because you own the Princess Auto là aussi.
Oh, mais oui.
Man, I don't know where they are.
Ben, tu payes extra en taxes aussi parce que les autres taxent 15%, nous autres c'est 13%, donc sauve un petit peu si tu l'achètes ici.
Okay, so where is the mute button?
No, where's the boot button?
Butt? Ah, ben, je porte des bottes de temps en temps pendant l'hiver.
Oh boy, here we go. Anybody have any shout outs besides Pierre, who is speaking another language?
Ben, j'ai une idée pour toi. Non,
All right, so we did have one email hit the inbox here, so I'll give it a read. It just says, hey guys, just got finished listening to your NVIS episode. Great stuff. I'm an operator / prepper from central Minnesota and more than willing to help set up a predetermined HF comms exercise with you guys. Recently I've been getting the ball rolling in Parks on the Air when I can. I have a Yaesu FT991A, ICOM 718, Yaesu 857D, Zygu X6100, Chameleon MPass 2.0, 40 meter end fed half wave for 100 watts, 80 meter off center fed, and a micro 40 meter end fed half wave for a QRP. It's a lot of equipment.
Lots of money.
Yes,
I
that's
was
a
hoping
nice stock
somebody
of equipment.
I was hoping somebody could dissect that and translate
Yeah,
radio speak to normal.
Because to me, it sounds like he's got a bunch of microwaves.
well, I just figured I'd speak another language as well. Just
Hey, why
because.
not?
Oh,
Speak in tongues.
Yeah, right,
Ah,
right. So
touché, bon monsieur.
yeah,
Bien joué.
yeah. So yeah, some of the stuff he's talking about here, like the Yaesu FT991A is pretty popular ham radio in the prepper world and just in general in the ham radio world. It's an all mode base station, but it's fairly portable, so you can take it on in parks of the air if you want. The ICOM again is a pretty big known name brand for radios. The 857D is probably a little bit more portable. The X6100 is absolutely portable. That's a small little radio I take with me when I go do parks on the air. Chameleons and the Chameleon MPass is an antenna. A couple other things that he's mentioned are antennas as well.
Nice.
QRP is just low power. So when it says QRP, it's usually generally 10 watts and under. And yeah, it just sounds like he's got some good equipment. He goes, let me know your thoughts. I also dabble in some digital HF, Vera, WinLink, Vera AC, to name a couple that we could work. Thanks for considering, and he just signs it off, Kirk. So that's so for a couple of those things he's talking about, Vera, WinLink. So we've talked about WinLink a few times on the show. It's email that you can get over HF radio. Vera AC is a fairly newer mode. It's digital. But it's basically like text chat, so you can talk to another ham radio operator using your computer and your HF rig. The first contact I made using Vera AC was in Sweden. Just fired it up, and that's the first person I talked to, and that's literally just the rig sitting right here in front of me and a wire out in the backyard. So it's a fun little mode to play around with. So we could maybe work that into some of our stuff as well. So yeah. He's got a nice setup, some good solid equipment there, and sounds like you got some good antennas. So I'll keep you in the loop for when we start doing some NVIS contacts. So we got one more in the pool of people that want to do it. So like I said, keep an eye on the Discord if you're in there, and anybody else that's listening. If you want to start participating in this little net that we're going to try to get together, I'll put some updates out in the Discord when we do get it going. I can send emails out as well, but was that?
Like, does it have to be legally?
Well, yes. This is a public show.
We'll talk off air.
Okay, still has to be legal.
So, Eric, do you know of anybody up this way where Pierre and I are that is on hams that we can get in contact with?
There's one in Armprior. I don't know if that's a little bit of
not that far away.
That's not crazy far, as long as I don't have to deal with traffic.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll
You don't when you're doing ham radio. So,
No.
but, yeah, we had when we did NVIS tests in the summer, we had one listener out that way hop on and communicate with us. So they're in the Discord. So
Yeah. So if you let us know, because we're out east of Armprior, and very curious how it works. Because I suck at reading books and I want to do it, but I got to read the book, which is not my forte.
If you do have a certified operator, then it is legal for you to transmit as long as they are overseeing your activities. So there you go.
Sounds kinky.
It does. There you go. That's for Monday nights. So before things get a little bit too crazy and I have to check more boxes than just the explicit one, I'll bring episode number 195 and actually 195 of the Canadian Prepper podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please help us out, submit a review. It does help other people find us.
And we record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we are going live. You can contact me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord.
Anybody wants to reach out, bradcpp@gmail.com.
If you want to get a hold of me to find weird, inappropriate t-shirts or customized ones, All of the socialist medias you can find off the wall customizing. If we're not on one, send an email, off the wall customizing at Gmail. Mel will figure out how to get us on that socialist ones. You can also find me on the other CPP on Monday nights, where I talk about why
your
I
critique of the government.
Yes, thank you. I was like, my mind's
Forgot
going a
what you're
little
talking
over.
about, huh?
No,
Forgot what
I
you're
knew,
talking
but I was
about.
just like, before you got to check off another box or delete this episode. Yes,
No,
my
I'm going with
critique
you
of the
forgot.
government. Yeah, okay, I'm good with that too. Less questions later.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
All right. Check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe.
And keep learning.